Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be bringing you my review for WWE Monday Night Raw and NWA Power. So, going to be reviewing these two shows. Going to be covering AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision on Monday. No SmackDown because tonight it's movie night, baby. Gonna go see the new Superman. Maybe I'll do a review on it this week. But, I'm gonna stick with Raw and Power for now. So, let's get right into it with Monday Night Raw. And we start with a promo from the Paul Heyman family. WWE, give this crew a name already. I'm tired of just calling them the Paul Heyman family, even though it kind of fits. So, they all get in the ring. Paul Heyman has the microphone. He's about to hand it to Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker intercepts it. And you kind of... looks like Seth is a little annoyed, but he lets him speak. So Breaker says, I'm standing here because Rollins and Heyman have a vision for the future of this business. I have my own vision of the future for WWE, and that's a future without Sami Zayn. I don't like Sami Zayn very much. I don't like his music. I don't like his face. And for the life of me, I don't understand why you all cheer him. He has been hanging on by a thread for 5 years. And he's going to bleed all of this empathy dry. Sami has an expiration date, and I am going to stomp on it. And if you come out here tonight, I'm beating you down with the very inch of your expiry date. So Breaker finishes up, hands the microphone, goes to hand the microphone back to Seth. Bronson Reed then takes it. So that's very interesting. So Breaker's like, Bronson Reed's like, relax. Braun, that was a tough act to follow, but I'm going to do my best. I'm a man who had Seth Rollins with 6 tsunamis, and he brought me into his vision, and I'll finally get the respect I deserve. Jey Uso, you clearly don't respect me, and tonight I'm beating that respect into you. Bronson Reed then hands the microphone over to Seth Rollins, who then hands it over to Heyman, who says, tonight, the Empire strikes back. Strike that. The Empire strikes first. And first up is Sami Zayn. Then we get Reed versus Jey Uso. Both will be missing in action as a thanks to Reed. And tonight, in the main event, Seth Rollins takes on Penta. And then Paul Heyman speaking Spanish. I did not have that on my bingo card. I don't really understand what he said, but good lord did he look good saying it. Paul then switches back to English, says, I may be not young enough or hip enough to understand the hand symbols Penta does. But after tonight, Penta won't be able to do those hand symbols ever again. So Heyman finally passes the microphone to Seth Rollins, and he says, well, seems like everything else has been covered. Welcome to Monday Night Rollins. I'm not going over his entire spiel because I don't really do catchphrases. I don't know. They just seem pointless. And, that's the end of that. And now, what I like about this is we kind of finally got a mission statement from this group. And we got some time from Breaker and Reed to develop a little personality. Instead of just being, minions. So hopefully we get some more of that in the coming days. And honestly, these beatdowns are going to be interesting. So next we get highlights from the World Tag Team title match from last week, in which JD McDonough and Finn Balor won the tag titles. So we see the entirety of Judgment Day there in the clubhouse, but they're spread out. Then Finn walks up to Dom, says, "Hey, you good? What the heck is that?" Camera pans. It is a Liv Morgan shrine with an 8x10 of Liv in the middle, surrounded by flowers, and then on one side some chicken nuggets, which is funny. So Roxanne says, "I made that for Dom because he misses Liv." So Finn replies, "Look, I know you miss Liv. It's going to take her some time to recover. I know that from experience." So then Raquel Rodriguez walks up, says, "Well, tonight, let's go handle some business," to Roxanne. They walk off. So then Finn, I guess, says, "We're going to head out." So he and JD leave, which leaves Dom in front of his shrine, and then he picks up a cake, which I didn't even see. Dom then says, then we hear from JD says, "We didn't give you that cake." And we see the top of the frosting, it says, "From AJ." So then we see a little camera trick where we see AJ Styles kind of peeking out from a curtain on the side somewhere. Dom goes to look for him, pulls back the curtain. He's not there anymore. Tom then goes back to the shrine, picks up his doctor's note saying, "I'm still not cleared. I have a note." I love this little shit Dominic Mysterio act he's got going on. And I can't wait to see AJ Styles whoop his ass. And I hope that goes down at SummerSlam. Because I think that would be the perfect place to do that. So, after all of that talking, we've got our first matchup of the evening as we have Kairi Sane taking on Roxanne Perez. And this match was a whole lot of fun. These two have some really interesting chemistry together. It was a little awkward in the beginning, but eventually they did get it back together. Eventually, Raquel did distract the ref while Kairi was on the attack. Really good back and forth. Kairi with an Alabama slam. Whiffs on the... goes for the insane elbow, but Raquel drags Roxanne to the outside. Hits a crossbody on both of them. Gets back in. Roxanne tries for the pop rocks. That gets blocked. Kairi with a roll-up for the win. Yeah, really good matchup. I do wish it was given a teeny tiny little bit more time. But post-match, we got Raquel and Roxanne attacking Kairi, making the save. It's Asuka. And while Roxanne and Raquel did take advantage for a little, Raquel attempting the Tejana bomb, that gets blocked. Asuka with a big armbar, Roxanne breaks it up. Asuka with a hip attack. And then Asuka and Kairi with the double team insane elbow, where Asuka does a reverse DDT and Kyrie drops the elbow. So, yeah, that was a fun little match and a nice little setup to what we're getting a little later. No spoilers yet. We're getting something. Then we get some highlights of the Cross's attack on Sami Zayn last week. And then from the main event, which was Sami and Penta versus Reed and Braun Breaker. So then we see a Sami Zayn backstage interview where he says, "Look, I'm not managing well. I would like to think more on the injury, more on Cross, and getting revenge on him. But I gotta think about Breaker." So then Sami walks off. Scarlett walks in. Interviewer tries to talk to her. And Scarlett just says, "No." And just kind of stares straight ahead, which is a little awkward. So next we have American Made minus Chad Gable. They're in Adam Pearce's office, where it's revealed El Grande Americano isn't here, but he asked for the match later on. Pierce then asked, well, Gable was hurt. Why isn't he here? And then one of the Creed brothers almost came close to revealing who the new El Grande Americano is. But then Ivy Nile kind of elbows him in the stomach. Then she says, "Look, I came here to talk about my spot in the Battle Royal at Evolution." Adam Pearce like, "Okay, you're in." So they walk off. Asuka and Kairi Sane then walk in, with Asuka saying, "We want some revenge on Raquel and Roxanne." Adam Pearce reveals the Kabuki Warriors are going to be the Raw team in the Fatal 4-Way at Evolution. And Asuka just kind of screams, "Yeah!" Kind of like he's an excited little kid. So that was interesting setup. I do wish there was a qualifying match for the Raw side, because you got a brand new team in Maxine Dupree and Natalya, who haven't had a tag match yet. Like, what happened to them? Next up, we got a Nikki Bella video promo where she pretty much announces herself for the Battle Royal. It's a shame what happened to Liv. I do wish her the best in healing. But, yeah, that's definitely going to be an interesting Battle Royal. So our next match up, we got Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. And as Sami Zayn's making his entrance, Karrion Kross attacks him on the ramp. He has that pipe he attacked him with last week, right in the gut. Then we see Adam Pearce. He's checking on Sami, while other officials are in, holding Kross back. So Sami gets in the ring. Breaker makes his entrance. So the ref checks on Sami, asks, "Are you good to go?" Sami's like, "Yes." And yeah, then they're off to the races. Braun Breaker with some real big power moves. After some stomps, he rips the bandages off of Sami Zayn's gut, hitting a crazy-looking gutbuster. Sami Zayn does fight back a little bit, but after a crossbody, Braun spears him out of his boots midair. Sami then rolls to the outside. Breaker rolls out, runs around the ring, hits another spear into Sami Zayn, gets him back in the ring, runs the ropes, hits another spear to pick up the win. And then post-match, you have officials checking on Sami Zayn. And I'm going to say this. That was honestly exactly what Braun Breaker needed. He needed a big win over a big opponent. And yeah, we'll see if Sami gets his revenge. We then see highlights from Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria from last week, including the weird double pin that led to a tie, which don't see that much in wrestling anymore. Then we see the War Raiders. They're talking with Adam Pearce about being the front of the line for the next tag team title shot. The New Day then walk in. They're wearing like all black outfits, saying, chill out, we're in mourning. We're mourning our tag team title reign. And you, pointing to Pearce, you helped do this. The Judgment Day killed the tag division. You need to tell us when we get our rematch. Adam Pearce then reveals that WWE doesn't do automatic rematches anymore. So then, as New Day is kind of arguing with War Raiders, in walks Becky Lynch, who says to Pearce, who says to New Day, good job getting rid of that dead weight in Big E, which, dang, that was harsh. She then says, although you getting another title shot isn't a bad idea. And then she kind of walks off, stirring the pot. She then makes it in the ring for a promo, which is very interesting. And she says, can somebody explain to me how two losers like Lyra and Bayley have a match against me? I get it. I'm the greatest wrestler who ever lived. And it's not just me that's saying that. I'm hot. I get it. You need me at Evolution, but I already beat them both. I deserve to pick my opponent like Io and like Tiffany did. And what I think is happening is that it's all a ruse. And the only way they get the title off me is, at that point, Bayley comes out. Before she can get a word in, out comes Lyra, who pushes right past Bayley, gets in the ring, and says, Becky, what the heck are you talking about? You completely transformed into a dang lunatic. It's time for me to take my title back. And at that point, Bayley gets in the ring, where she says, whoa, if it wasn't for you, I'd be holding that title. And sorry I have trouble keeping up, but I don't need partners or friends. I need that title. And Becky kind of smiles at Bayley, saying, listen to you. Good to see you're not trying so hard anymore. And this is Lyra now, who says, everybody thinks I called Becky to take out Bayley. I didn't do that. But she said, Bayley is everything I'm trying. This is Becky now. But you did say Bayley is everything I'm trying to be. And I can't get that out of my head anymore. You don't care about your friends when it comes to titles. Then Lyra, with the line of the night, says, well, now I have to rescue this title from two disappointment. So then Bayley chimes in saying, look, I was watching you front row when you first won the Intercontinental title. I watched you at WrestleMania become a double champion. And then you lost everything. And raised her hand like a bitch. At that point, Lyra snaps, just attacks Bayley, and they brawl for a bit. Becky does go for a manhandle slam, but that gets blocked as Lyra hits Nightwings on both Becky and Bayley. So, yeah, I think she is probably eating the pin on Sunday and have, Becky win. So next we get highlights from Sheamus versus Rusev, which was a banger. Then we see the Heyman guys in the back. They're kind of all celebrating. With Seth saying, tonight, so far so good. Breaker then says, I'm worried about Cross, man. Everybody now thinks I couldn't beat Sammy on my own. Seth then kind of grins a little, says, nah, you had this the entire time. Paul Heyman then walks in, says, with a little bit of a dour look on his face, with Seth asking, what's wrong, Paul? Paul then reveals that Sami Zayn is going to be out of action indefinitely. And then everybody starts laughing. Seth then turns to Braun Breaker, says, what are you laughing at? You need to do this to Jey Uso. Breaker then gets serious, says, and that's what he wants, that's what he's gonna get. So that leads us to our next matchup, as we got Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed. And honestly, this was another really, really fun matchup. And I know Jey Uso isn't everybody's cup of tea, but he really brought it to Bronson Reed tonight. They really went back and forth a while. But after a while, after a bunch of super kicks, Jey Uso goes for a big dive. Reed, who has one of the chairs from the announcer's desk, so not a steel one, it's one of those office chairs that the announce team is sitting on, chucks it at Jey Uso. They collide. And so that leads to a disqualification victory for Jey Uso. Bronson Reed then gets him back in the ring and hits a couple tsunamis on him before officials come out and check on Jey Uso. So, I'm going to say this. Reed's plan wasn't to win this match, but it was to hurt Jey, which was made clear in that backstage segment. So, we'll see where this leads. Hopefully, maybe it's a 6-man tag down the line. I'm not sure. So then we get a video promo from LA Knight. So it's kind of on a obvious green screen where he says, right now I'm talking to Seth Rollins. I got shafted by you. You're in debt, my man. You are Mr. Money in the Bank. There's always an opportunity for me coming. I got hit by 3 tsunamis and I was back in 1 week. And you can't take the case, but I can shove it where the sun don't shine. And at Saturday night's main event, I'm going to show the world. So then we get a Saturday night's main event card rundown in which a match was added yesterday. It's Jacob Fatu. No, it's Solo versus Jimmy Uso for the United States title. I think Solo's probably retaining here. Then we get highlights from Rhea Ripley and Io Sky's pretty much entire WWE rivalry, starting with the Mae Young Classic from years ago, if you guys remember that. Man, that was such a long time ago. And then their bouts in NXT. And I think their recent bout on Raw. So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see what happens at Evolution. We then get a nice little Evolution card rundown, which is very cool. We then get this odd match, as we got El Grande Americano, played by Ludwig Kaiser, taking on Dragon Lee. And this was a interesting little TV match. This was definitely more the El Grande Americano show, although Dragon Lee did get some stuff in. But of course, El Grande Americano shifts his mask a little, probably moving that steel plate to the front. Dragon Lee attempts a crossbody that misses. Americano with a diving headbutt to pick up the win. So, kind of a little nothing match. Was kind of hoping Dragon Lee would be a little bit more in WWE. He is so talented and is kind of being wasted. So next up, we see Penta. He's working out in the back, getting ready for his main event. In walks Paul Heyman. And Heyman says to Penta, as Seth's personal... I forget what he said. It's, I thought he said door, but I could definitely be wrong. He then speaks in Spanish to Penta. Penta then gets a little mad, walks off. Braun Breaker walks in, says, I don't know what you just said, but I think he should watch his back tonight. Because Zero Miedo is 3 up, 3 down. We then get a little Stephanie Vaquer vignette in which she announces herself for the Women's Battle Royal at Evolution. And then we get a little Gunther in-ring promo, which, alright, where he says, this Saturday I will defend my title versus Bill Goldberg, and for the last 2 weeks I have been verbally abusing Bill, and he has done nothing about it. It's clear he is afraid of me, of the pressure that comes with challenging someone like me. At that point, we see on the Tron a sports car roaring into the parking lot. Who gets out of the driver's seat? It's Bill Goldberg. He goes through the parking area, through backstage, through Gorilla, where they have his music ready to go, walks through his pyro into the ring. They have a little face-off for a second. Looks like Gunther was about to speak again, but Goldberg slaps the microphone out of Gunther's hand. Bill Goldberg with a couple of strikes. He's ready for the spear, but Gunther rolls out of the ring. So, yeah, definitely a little, nice little hype for that match coming up for Saturday night's main event. And we get a final rundown of the Saturday night's main event and Evolution cards. And then we go to our main event of Monday Night Raw. We got Penta taking on Seth Rollins. And oh boy, these two beat the 7 Shades of out of one another. Like, it was a little slow to start, but eventually it did pick up in a big way. Especially after Seth blocked a destroyer, which that was gnarly. Penta attempts a DDT that gets caught into a big gutbuster, and then a follow-up frog splash for a 2 count. Seth attempts the stomp, but that Penta moves out of the way. Hits an enziguri, a superplex, goes for a superplex. That gets blocked. Penta with a chop and then a Rana off the top rope. Penta then hits the Penta driver for only a 2 count. Penta attempts the sacrifice, but Seth blocks it. Seth attempts a Rana. Penta attempts a Rana. That gets caught. Seth with a buckle bomb, in which Penta rolls right out of it into a destroyer for a 2 count. Penta attempts a Penta driver, but apparently Seth moved his head for a low blow, which is, something I don't think I've ever seen attempted. Seth with a curb stomp to pick up the win. So then Paul Heyman, bringing back an old gimmick of his, where he pulls out his cell phone and calls for Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They come out weirdly slowly. But then as Seth is ready to beat down Penta, out comes LA Knight, who attacks Seth, hits a BFT, and escapes through the crowd, while Reed and Braun chase him. So, definitely some interesting setup for this big wrestling weekend, which is, definitely going to be interesting. Overall, this Monday Night Raw was a whole ton of fun. Some really good action, some decent promos. Although I do wish there was more to it. Like, it kind of felt a little service level, but I did have fun with it. So, we're going to see what happens at Saturday night's main event and Sunday at Evolution. So, that was Raw. We now move to NWA Power, which is the end of the Hard Times taping, as we see a Tom Latimer promo, but he's outdoors, I guess, where Carson Drake's been. And he says, "I've been beyond blessed to defend this title, and this is where Dothan, Alabama is where they invented the peanut, which is a little insane. And the similarities with Peanuts, Drake, and the slime balls, they're messing with the wrong guy, and right now they are just cannon fodder. Drake, you're a fantastic competitor, but I've seen it all before. You're a guy who hides behind a thesaurus, and it's going to take more than a TV champ to take me on." So, short, sweet, to the point from Tom Latimer. Gonna be interesting how it goes in the main event. But before we get there, we got the NWA Tag Team titles on the line in a ladder match. As we got the Slime Balls, so that's Rant and Chance taking on Knox and Murdoch. And while Knox and Murdoch do have the size advantage, the Slime Balls know their way around a weapon, because they immediately go to the outside, bring in a whole plunder of weapons, including trash can lids, chairs, kendo sticks, cookie sheets, and they used every single one until Trevor Murdoch fights out of it, uses the weapons himself, including the ladder, in which there was a point where Murdoch puts on the ladder on like his head, where his neck is, and just spun until he hit both Slime Balls and Mike Knox. So that's interesting. Eventually, they both get back up. Murdoch eventually goes up after a big old powerbomb through the table by Chance. Grabs the title, unhooks him, and brings him down for the win for Knox and Murdoch. Honestly, that was a fun ladder match. Nothing we haven't seen before, but I do like the extra plunder in the match. Makes it feel a little bit more dangerous, I'd say. So, we'll see what happens next for the tag team titles. First, we get the Around the Territory segment, which I always love. Gives us an idea of what's going on in the world of the NWA. Then we get a backstage Carson Drake promo, where he says, "I'm as good as I say I am, and when I won this TV title, defended it 7 times, brought a house 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to show you and everyone sitting at home, you can't beat me." Which leads us to our main event of the evening, and our main event of this Friday, where we got the NWA World title on the line, as we got Carson Drake challenging Tom Latimer. Now, before I can continue, currently Carson Drake is the World Television Champion. Now, what that means is that he defended this title 7 times, and if you do that, you can cash in on the world title. So that's what this is. And honestly, this was a really, really good matchup. Nice little back and forth. Drake locking in an Indian Deathlock, which is very interesting. Tom fights out of it. Eventually, the slime balls do come out. To help Drake a little bit. Drake with a takedown, attempting a Boston Crab, but that gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2. Drake with an eye poke and then a spine buster for a 2 count. Goes for the pile driver, but Latimer shoves him off. Latimer then with a stunner and a spear for a 2 count. Big old leg drop into a neck breaker for another 2. Then Drake with a toss, kind of tossing Latimer back and forth for a while. Then Latimer out of nowhere with a Brighter Side of Suffering to pick up the win. So I do feel like this match ended a little suddenly. I would have liked to see Carson Drake get a little bit more stuff in. Overall, it was a fine matchup. But then post-match, lights go out. There's a little rumbling in the crowd. Lights come back on. Rhino is in the ring. That's right. Former NWA champion himself. The War Machine Rhino. And he's set up in the corner. He gores Carson Drake. Turns around to Latimer. Gores Tom Latimer. So I guess we got our new challenger for the World Heavyweight title. And I can't wait for that. Rhino. I know there's a couple people down on Rhino, but Rhino is still one of my favorite dudes to watch. He is so smooth in the ring. I can't wait to see that match. So, that's going to do it for me. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, Monday I'm going to be covering AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. Tuesday is going to be Saturday night's main event and Evolution. And then I think also on Sunday is going to be the announcements for my Fantasy League All-Star selections. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.